Hello and welcome back to Beat the Lockdown. Today we are on to part 3 of our Play by Numbers playlists. If you've not seen either of the previous 2 videos, the premise is simple. If there's a number in the track's name, then it is considered for the playlist. So part 3, who should we go to first? Let's go to Tom first.
Right. I had number 1, Goldfrapp, song 2, Blur, and 22 by Taylor Swift.
Right, okay. Pete?
I went for song 2 by Blur, number 1 by Goldfrapp, and 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton.
I went for song 2, Blur, 9 to 5, Dolly Parton, and Acceptable in the 80s, Calvin Harris.
I knew you'd pick a Calvin Harris track.
Well,
that's inevitable. Yeah,
but that's very different to current Calvin Harris. That's part of the reason I picked this one is because I just don't think I'd listened to it for such a long time, because in my head I was like, oh, I'm sick of this song. So I genuinely think I hadn't listened to it for like 5 years. Again, though, it's similar to, I can't remember what the track was now we were talking about. Oh, it was Disco 2000. It's too long. If it was about, well, it could probably drop 2 minutes, actually.
If you'd have asked me how my feelings about that track before I was listening to this playlist, I'd have said I liked it. And I listened to the playlist a couple of times. Yeah. Hence the track a couple of times. I was like, you know what? I don't actually like this track very much, so I did not pick it.
I found it annoying.
I was quite surprised you both went for Goldfrapp, to be honest. And I'm not saying it's a good song, but I was relatively surprised you both picked that.
According to the comments, because I've been watching these on YouTube, I think a lot of people that had commented had come there from watching Queer Eye, because I think one of them. It was a bedroom track for one of them, which I can certainly I don't want to say see, because that's not what I'm picturing, but I can certainly I can get on board with that.
This was another one that had a relatively harrowing video, didn't it? Is this the one with the dogs? Number 1.
Yeah, I didn't really find it harrowing. It's just a bit weird.
Human beings with dog heads, that's it kind of freaked me out a little bit.
The Calvin Harris video was worse. It's so quickly edited. I really dislike videos that just they don't leave the camera on anything for more than half a second, and it just does my head in.
I would absolutely love to sit down with Calvin Harris and be like, so what the hell happened? Like, how did you go from this sort of mild-mannered guy in your bedroom in Scotland making these sort of like quirky little sort of indie disco tracks to all of a sudden just creating these huge EDM beat-based collaborations and being like, because the difference between him from one album to the next was just like, what the hell's happened here? And I'd actually love to know if he actually still likes the stuff he did from that album, because it's such a departure from what he does now. And if you watch him playing this stuff live of that era, it was very awkward on stage. So to go from that to playing in front of like thousands of people in mega clubs in Ibiza and Miami and places like that, I don't know. I mean, what changed in a guy? It'd be just interesting to know what his journey was, to be honest.
I know in the video he kind of mouths the lyrics, but is he actually singing those?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was very much. I think his early stuff was very sort of. How can I put this? Bedingfield-esque, where it's kind of like all done at home kind of thing. I could be wrong, but I think that's why he kind of appears as the vocalist on a lot of the tracks, because he kind of wrote and created a lot of it on his own. Yeah. So we've got a couple of dancier tracks, one which is sort of a 90s dance staple, so 9 p.m. Till I Come. I mean, that was, am I right, Tom, that was used on FIFA 98 Road to the World Cup?
I don't remember. That was the best FIFA, which is nothing to do with this chat, but that was the best FIFA.
And then obviously there's the Generation 303, Nicky Romero. I imagine neither of you have ever heard that song before.
No, I hadn't. I listened to it, and like I know, this was after Block Rockin' Beats, was it, by the Chemical Brothers?
Yeah.
But it just seemed like it just seemed like a rubbish version of Block Rockin' Beats. Like it seemed totally pointless as a track. Either he's not aware of that track and he's sampled the same thing, which seems a little coincidental, or he's tried to use it as well, and it's nowhere. It can't even touch it. It's just, as I said, it's like a crap version of Block Rockin' Beats.
I mean, the other thing with this one, obviously, is there's a very much a poppier theme, certainly the second half of the playlist. You picked 22, didn't you, Tom?
Yeah, Taylor Swift 22.
I thought about it. I'd never heard it before, but I thought it was pretty good, quite a good pop song. If it was going to knock anyone off my list, it actually would have been song 2. I would have put that as my number 3, and I kind of didn't want to put song 2 just because it was such an obvious choice. But ultimately, I was just like, which is better? Song 2.
Yeah.
I think you think about it.
My consideration was 9 to 5 or 22, because I think by the time I got down to like the last 4, I was like, "Ooh, these be slim pickings." So I did enjoy 22 and 9 to 5, but I just enjoyed 22 more. So just went with that. Went with my gut.
Yeah. I think 9 to 5. I think 9 to 5 is just a fantastic song. I think it's great.
Oh yeah.
I just love there being a song that it manages to be so upbeat, but it's about the how mundane.
Right. Yeah.
And we talked. I can't remember what track it was that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, where we sort of said something similar, where it's just kind of it's just so sort of cathartic to kind of have a song that is I think it's that was it. No, we were talking about Love and Spoonful on the summer. And we're saying about how it just went in a different perspective. How grimy and horrible it can be in the sun and the summer. And this is the same thing. It's like it's talking about the how mundane a normal 9 to 5 day is, but it just happens to be quite a sort of uppity pick me up type song. 22 by Taylor Swift. Sorry, I just wanted to go back before we move on. I quite like Taylor Swift. There's quite a few of her songs that I really like.
I agree with that. Yeah, same here.
I struggle a little with this song now. I really like it as a pop tune, but some of the lyrics just seem a bit forced, and I think will age badly. I think this will maybe be a song that we listen to in 10 years and be like, oh no.
Like what?
Some of the the opening segment where they're talking about it's something about it's a good night to dress up as hipsters, and I can't remember exactly how it goes.
Oh yeah, it feels like a perfect night to dress up like hipsters and make fun of our exes.
Yeah, and I don't know, I just feel like that'll make me cringe in 10 years' time. And it doesn't really fit. It feels a bit wordy. But, that's just my opinion. But other than that, I think it's a really good pop tune, and chorus is very good. As I would hazard to say, most Taylor Swift singles tend to be. The chorus is just almost irritatingly catchy.
Yeah.
I mean, looking across the rest of the playlist and things that were picked, I mean, I think we've covered everything we picked. I mean, other than song 2, really, we've not really sort of mentioned about it. But I think the weirdest thing with song 2, I don't know if you feel the same, guys, is it's just such a departure from the rest of Blur's stuff.
Yeah.
I don't really know the history of it, but I imagine it's fairly Coxswain driven, because it certainly sounds a lot more like his solo stuff
Yeah.
than a lot more Blur stuff. It's a great song, but again, not one that I can listen to over and over again. Like it's a good song.
It wrote World Cup '98, as you were saying earlier about the other one. Yeah, Starship Troopers and Thunderbirds.
Oh, okay. Which that was that really awful remake version of Thunderbird?
Yeah, I think
Was that a live action one? Was that live action?
Yeah.
Wasn't the title track done by Busted? And if we're talking about cringy lyrics, Year 3000 has to be discussed here.
I'd put it on my worst songs of all time lists. That song, it's just awful. But it's like a song a 10-year-old would write. I can't even believe that they wrote.
Wasn't that their target demographic, like pre-teens?
Well, there's a difference between demographic and writing like a child. It just felt like, okay, guys, you've written a song. Now, do you want to sort of maybe go through it again, make it better? Like, nah, it's fine. We'll leave it there.
I feel kind of bad as well because of that era and the clique that they ended up in. I feel like McFly ended up being tied under the same brush as Busted, when actually McFly were a better band than Busted.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And actually had some.
One. Didn't they come back as like an older boy band or something as well? Like in the last few years, the guys from McFly.
Yeah. Well, they did.
I don't see Busted being able to do that.
Well, they came back as McBusted, which was a mixture of McFly and some members of Busted, which I think was probably a mistake. I think that what I find so cringy about the lyrics in this song is when you actually don't listen to it as a song, but go, oh, right, so this is this guy, and this is what he's saying to this guy, and blah, blah. And then so you get the same thing with the chorus. So this guy called Peter, right? Yeah. So the guy that we've just been told has got a flux capacitor and is standing in this guy's back garden. He relays some stuff about what's going on in the future, and then he just goes, and your great granddaughter is pretty fine. Now, so this guy's appeared in someone's back garden. He's got a flux capacitor in his hand, and he's basically going, yeah, your great granddaughter, yeah, I'd give her one. And it's like, I mean, what were they smoking that they thought that this would be a really good idea? And it's I don't know,
because great granddaughter, in 1,000 years she's already going to have been dead for 900 years.
Like, I mean, what would this be? Daughter, granddaughter, and then we've got great granddaughter, great granddaughter, great. So that's what 5 generations away. I mean,
that's
unless
about 100 years, isn't it? Maybe slightly more.
Well, 5 generations away, so overlap maybe 30 years, maybe. So we're talking no more than about 150 years. It's not 1,000 years. So yeah,
yes,
just
don't do the math.
There's the lyric. Not much has changed, but we live underwater.
So
that seems like quite a lot has changed there.
I find it weird how they decided that they would go whole hog in the first verse and call it a flux capacitor, but then by the time we get to like the second or third verse, he took me to the future in the flux thing, as if like he's forgotten what a flux capacitor is. It's like you wouldn't just burst out into and go, "Oh, hang on, that's a flux capacitor," and then by the time you get to the third verse, be like, "Oh, I don't know, some flux thing."
I'll be honest.
There's no continuity.
The more you've broken these lyrics down, the more the story to me sounds like an absolute nutcase has shown up in this lad's back garden and just gone, "I've got a flux capacitor.
Well,
Do you want to come with me?"
I've got the flux capacitor, but I haven't got the rest of the time machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how old this lad is that's telling us the story, but it definitely sounds like a man that's shown up and gone, "Do you want to go with me in this flux capacitor thing?" Yeah, let's go. And then later he's gone, "Oh, what's that again? Oh, just a flux thing. Don't worry about the details. Don't pay much attention to this. You won't remember a lot."
Yeah. I think we've quite constructively deconstructed that song.
It's not going through, no.
Yeah, no, that one's definitely not going through.
I voted for that.
The only other one really we've not kind of mentioned much is the Spice Girls. First time we've had the Spice Girls on one of our playlists.
It's all right. That's all I can say about it. It's pleasant enough. It's not bad enough to sort of tear apart, and it's not really good enough to rave about. It's there.
Real middle of the road song.
I don't know about you guys, but of an age, I was like well into the Spice Girls. And
it wasn't.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was.
It wasn't.
I was going to say UK phenomenon. It's a global phenomenon, really, wasn't it? But I don't know. I mean, some of their tracks still hold up quite well, but I think a lot of them are starting to sound really tired now. Not aged well at all.
This one's aged all right, but stuff like Wannabe was always awful. What's the one that they did next? Say You'll Be There. I don't think that's aged very well either. But then you got ones like
Spice Up Your Life hasn't aged well, but then I think Mama has. I think that's still a fairly stand-up tune.
And Stop Right Now, whatever it's called. That's all right. And whatever the one they did at the Brits, that's pretty good as well. Who do you think you are?
That's quite good. So I think it's like a kind of 50-50, isn't it? Like some of their stuff is really not held up at all. Like Wannabe is a difficult track to listen to now. To Become One, I think sits right dead centre in the middle of those two sides of Spice Girls tracks. Never one that I overly liked in the first place, and is very un-Spice Girls like. It kind of was very middle of the road sort of ballad.
There wasn't a lot of energy to it.
No, it could have been any number of artists around that sort of time that made that song. It didn't scream Spice Girls. Okay, so our three picks from this particular list are already set for us, so we don't even have to argue out who's we'll take on. So song 2 by Blur was picked by all three of us, so that is a definite winner in this one. Number 1, Goldfrapp, as I mentioned at the beginning, was quite surprised you both picked it. I do like it as a track, but wasn't one of my choices, but that has been moved on as well, because that's got 2 votes. And 9 to 5, Dolly Parton, that has got 2 votes as well, which me and Pete picked. So unfortunately, Tom, Taylor Swift 22 doesn't go on. And for me,
sure, she'll be fine.
Yeah, I think she'll make do. I think she'll be okay. And for me, Calvin Harris, Acceptable in the 80s, is a no-go, as no one else voted for it. So there are 3 tracks from our particular list.